Do you ever wonder if homeschooling is ruining your kids or not? Well, we're going to talk to my daughter. She's my firstborn. I have 6 kids, and she is the oldest of them. And we're going to talk about that very question. Stay tuned because at the end of the video, I'm going to give out some freebies as well. Hi, I'm Nancy Marie Peterson. I've been homeschooling for 20 years. I have 6 kids, and this is Abigail. She is my oldest. And I asked her if I could interview her and she could kind of share her experience as a homeschooler. So, first of all, Abigail, can I ask how old you are? I already know that.
Yes, I'm just turned 29 years old.
And she just had a birthday a month ago. What do? You're married. What does life look like?
Yeah, life is all over the place. I am married. My husband and I live just south of Tijuana, Mexico. He serves full-time with a nonprofit, and I serve as well with the nonprofit. I run a youth ministry, then 2 different young girls Bible study groups, and then I also help with our kids' church program. But on my day job, I work as a family nurse practitioner on the other side in the States 3 to 4 days a week.
She works at like a Ready clinic where you walk in and then she's
Urgent care provider.
the provider that you see if you have a cold or whatever it is. So she actually has a full-time job and she does that. So, but she was my guinea pig because she's my firstborn and she has 5 younger siblings. And so she actually went to kindergarten and then first grade. And it was then that we kind of shifted to homeschooling. I never was going to homeschool. I was against homeschooling. We put her in the public school and she is this amazing, beautiful young lady. But in the school system, I could see her kind of shrinking. And I thought, what is happening? But I had twins and I had babies and I was a little bit distracted and all that was going on. And but I could still see stuff going on. And we thought that's what you do. You put them in a public school. That made sense to us. And we just really shifted. So she was brought out in 2nd grade and we started to homeschool her. Do you remember that?
Kindergarten, 1st grade?
Uh-huh.
I remember riding the bus, but outside of that, I really don't remember the first couple years.
Do you remember when we talked about we were going to be homeschooled?
Nope, can't say I remember that conversation either.
So we started homeschooling her when her siblings, who are twins, were going into kindergarten. So she's the only one who went actually to public school. But when the twins went to kindergarten, I pulled her out at the same time. So that's kind of how we kind of started this process. I have some questions I'm going to ask. What is the first memory that you have growing up as a homeschooler?
I think it probably predates when I went to actual school. I remember being in the family room in the morning and doing like letters and doing alphabet stuff with my younger siblings. They were toddlers and probably were not paying attention. I just remember, some just basic alphabet in the family room.
So what she's referring to, probably the sunroom.
Kindergarten, yep.
So before my kids were actually even homeschooled, I homeschooled them all preschool. And she did afternoon kindergarten. So then in the mornings, we did school in the morning with the twins and her. And then in the afternoon, she went to kindergarten. So that's probably what you remember that. And I had a whole setup for a preschool room. So how was your relationship, do you think, different because you were homeschooled with your siblings?
It sounds very cliche or very extreme, but I think the reason I have a relationship with my siblings today is because I was homeschooled.
All right, I have a bunch of questions. What is one thing that you didn't appreciate about being homeschooled that you appreciate now?
I think, obviously the hard things of like pushing us to do things that I wasn't comfortable doing, like writing papers or stuff like that. But I think one of the bigger things was that you were busy with the younger kids and that I didn't have as much attention or time. But in my mind, you would always come to us, be like, nope, I'll hit you guys after lunch when they're napping. We'll make time for it. So it wasn't an issue, but I selfishly didn't want to spend my afternoon doing school. I wanted to spend it playing. And so I was like, well, I'll just figure it out. And if I need help, I'll ask you. And so that really developed in me a huge capacity for just being resourceful. I remember I went to college and I was in my first in-person intense human anatomy and physiology class for pre-nursing. And I was so baffled that I was like one of my first in-person class experiences. And I was probably almost 20 at the time, 19, 20. And I remember all of the other students were struggling in the human anatomy and physiology course. And I had prepped, read the book, watched all the pre-videos that he had posted. And then I got to class kind of already having an understanding of the content. And then he would teach on it. At the time, it was hard to understand for the most part from his teaching, but I had already studied and prepared and understood it. And so everyone was so confused, so lost. I came to the tests, everyone was failing, and he had to grade it on the curve, but it didn't make sense to me because I was like, well, didn't you read the book? Didn't you figure it out? He doesn't make sense. I had taken for granted that I never really like sat down and had a lesson taught to me. I always figured out how I needed to find the answers. And a lot of times that was going to mom to help explain things. Sometimes it was YouTube. Sometimes it was asking other people who we knew. But a lot of the times it was just me trying to figure out different ways to understand the textbook or the workbook. And that really paid off well in college.
I think one of the things that she has shared over the years is she learned how to be resourceful. She learned how to learn. And so when she got to college, she was so over the top successful because she'd already been the owner of her education and she was already pushing that forward, and she wasn't having somebody else drive her. She was already the driver in that.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you missed out in any traditional school things being a homeschooler?
I can't say I did. At different times, like we lived right near a school, was down the road, and so we could see the buses driving back and forth. And I think for me, the benefits way outweighed the cost of it, even back then, because I saw that they were there for long hours and I was done by early afternoon. And so I think every little piece that I would have been tempted to have wanted to have a part of, I saw the flip side of it, even from a young age, and really appreciated the freedom and the flexibility that we had. So I can't say there was many things that I felt like I missed.
What do you when you think about the homeschool? We've homeschooled with a big homeschool room, and we homeschooled in an RV. What would you say? What were some of the homeschool environments that you lived in?
All
Maybe
over the place.
explain.
All over the place. That one year you bought desks from an old school and we sat at metal desks and different, like they were stationed all throughout the main family room around the big TV. So we did that, and it, kind of helped us have ownership, kind of felt a little bit more like real school or public school. So we did that. We've done the kitchen table. We did the RV. We did it like in different big folding tables in the community in big rooms. We did it at the cabin, in the loft. Like it's been all over the place.
Is there anything you would say if somebody was trying to, should I homeschool or not? Is there anything you would say as a homeschool kid that would, help them decide whether it was worth it or not?
I think the biggest thing that I took away from it was our family. I think it made our family really close. It made me really close with my siblings. And yeah, I treasure those relationships because I don't think I would have had them otherwise, because they were doing sports in the afternoon. But like our sacred time during the day was us. And we could do school, but then we also had time to play and be outside and play Barbies or whatever it looked like, because there was time in between school, after school, before they had to go do their activities. So for sure, it was us.
Let me ask you, is there any regrets? Do you regret not getting to go to school? I mean, do you feel like I asked you about, did you miss out on anything? But is there any moments of regrets?
No, I can't say there ever really was. I think there's things that you miss out on for sure, like different proms and dances all my friends went to that I never really got to experience in that realm. And I took one like SAT test in a high school that I didn't attend, but my cousin attended, and I walked the halls with him, and I was like, this is so bizarre. Like it just blew my mind that that's what kids would do in the morning hours before school. I just hadn't had a perspective of it. But at the same time, there wasn't really anything that I feel like I missed out on. I'm quite content.
So if you think of, I think, you've shared with me that, you learn how to be resourceful.
That was a big one.
That was one of the big things. You shared your siblings,
Yep.
made that bond really tight. Now, what would you say? Because I was your mom, I was your teacher, I was, do you think that it weighed on our relationship? Do you think that I didn't prep her? She doesn't know that I'm asking this question. Do you think that was hard on the relationship? How do you remember?
I don't think it was hard on our relationship. I definitely think that you pushed me in ways in the schooling aspect, but then also you've continued to do that in life. And I think that just made an easy transition for that. In times where I don't know if public school kids feel the same way, but like when your professor is like, oh yeah, we're going to add a pop quiz or we're going to add a essay, I would hate it when mom would be like, oh no, this isn't in the curriculum or like on the contract for the week, but I'm just going to add this. I'm like, oh. And it's that same idea of like, I know like this is for my good and I'm supposed to grow this capacity, but at the same time, like I really don't want to do it. And so it's that pushing and challenging me to grow and do things that I didn't want to do. That is something that you have continued to do in my adulting years, but in like the spiritual and emotional and friendship sense of like when I'm struggling with something or working through something, it's that same thing that applied in the classroom applied to life.
I have to say, when you have that relationship with your kids, they push me. She stretches me now and she calls me out, and it's a beautiful relationship. I want to say, how prepared, because you were homeschooled, you didn't have those nice, and she went into nursing. She didn't have, we had a microscope, but she barely used it.
2 or 3
Um,
times.
do you feel like, you were prepared enough? I mean, did we do enough in the homeschooling? Do you feel smart enough when you walked in? Like, were you equipped to do? Now you're a fit, probably she was. Skip to the end. We already know she is. But did you feel that? Did you feel confident that you could dream and do big things, or did you feel limited because you were homeschooling?
I think initially I didn't know what I was capable of. Like I went into college with this different level of like academic experiences and perspective, and I like didn't know where I was at on the playing field of academia, of being in a college setting or at university. And I think it just took like a year or two of being like, no, I can apply the same things that I learned being homeschooled, of being resourceful, of reaching out, talking to professors, figuring stuff out on my own, making it happen, and studying that I could do in the same degree but to a different level at the college setting. That I think it took like a year or two to really be like, oh no, like I'm more than capable, like this is very possible, in just the sense of like I didn't know how to sit in a classroom. I remember in nursing school, which was like 6 to 8 hour days, and I had never had to sit in a classroom for that long. I don't know, that's a good or bad thing to admit. But so here I was 20 years old sitting in a chair, a desk for like almost 8 hours a day. And I was like, man, my back really hurts. Like, man, I'm like, and then it dawned on me, I was like, I have never had to sit down this long in my life. Like this was because no one else was like, oh, it's fine. Like I don't mind the chairs, it's whatever. And I was like, well, why is my back hurting? Like this is so bizarre. And it just was that I never had to sit in a classroom for more than like, let's say 4 hours at max. Like it was not a thing. So it's just different perspectives, different levels that I had to learn to adjust, but it wasn't even like a huge adjustment. It became fairly easy. I wouldn't say college was hard. I'd say there were challenging classes, yes, but the tools that I had to like figure stuff out on my own, read the textbook, seek help when I needed it, all of those pieces easily applied to college. So it made that transition not a huge challenge.
She took college classes in high school. So
That too.
we did a program, it's called Running Start in our state, where you can do dual credits. In high school, you do college classes while you're in high school. And I think I knew right away when you took your very first English class and you had to write your paper, and she did great. But I was like, oh, okay, I didn't screw up. Like, yes, she's going to be successful. I knew right away in the first quarter that she was going to do this. And it was just learning the professors and learning. And it was a whole adjustment for us, because up to that, I had been her sole provider of all the curriculum and all the stuff. And now this other person is telling us what we have to do, when we have to do, when it has to be turned in, and just adjusting to that lifestyle. But it allowed us to walk it through together and learn how do we adapt to these professors and what they're asking and calling it out. And I remember thinking, okay, I didn't screw her up. She's going to be successful. Phew. All right, we're going to keep going. But I think it does feel, overwhelming at the beginning, because I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And I have to say, you're looking at a daughter who is homeschooled all the way through. Well, not kindergarten, first grade, I already shared that, but went off to college, got her degree in nursing, and then went on to get her master's and became a family nurse practitioner. So all those years that I stressed because we didn't use the microscope and she was going to go into nursing.
We didn't really have a lot of science experience.
No. And that, oh, shoot, I screwed it up. I didn't screw up. And I think part of it is God covers us with his grace as we stayed true to his word and poured truth and his love and his guidance into our kids. He covered the things that we didn't cover in school. And I remember when you went into college, you had done biology, and she was our guinea pig. So we were learning as we went with her. And so we didn't get all your sciences. And I think you had to do chemistry.
Like 2 or 3 weeks before I went in
to classes to take a chemistry class. I'm like, oh, shoot. So I think I gave you Apologia Chemistry, which is a thick book. And you did it in like 2 or 3 weeks. You went through the book, because I was worried you didn't have everything you needed. And she did fine in college.
I went through the whole book. I had never had any chemistry. And then I walked into my first chemistry 101 course with a lab at a community college. And I was like, oh, I just learned this in Apologia. And I aced it. It was so easy. I was like, oh, well, okay. I literally just did this in 3 weeks. But all right.
We panicked because I wasn't sure. And I think if you hear anything at the end as we wrap this up, is to know your kids will be successful if you're intentional. If you provide them the opportunities to learn and you walk it out with them and you're hands-on in the learning process, and you'll get that bond, she says, about the siblings, and you'll be successful in whatever you choose to do. You didn't know what you wanted to do. You didn't pick
Nope.
nursing right at
Not
the
till
beginning.
like senior year.
So we had taken some other sciences, because to do this Run and Start program, this dual credit program, you had to take 3 sciences. So she didn't pick nursing until her senior year. So I think you took 2 other, like a physical science class or
Yeah.
environmental science or something. And then she had to take more sciences because she had to have them all for her nursing degree.
Yeah.
But you could think that that set us back, but I don't think it
No.
did. I think it still prepped you and
Yep.
got you stronger.
Yep.
So is there anything you would say or you want to leave that moms should know about homeschooling, that you would say as a homeschooler that has successfully launched and graduated and you're married, you're serving God, you love God, you serve a lead a youth group, you work full time, you cross an international border, your heart is missions. Is there anything you would say to homeschool moms that you'd want them to know?
I think I would say it's worth it. And you don't have to put as much stress or worry as you do into it. Now that we know I'm the guinea pig, I survived, I'm doing well, but it's worth it. And I think if anything else, but for your family, for the relationships I now have with my siblings, for the relationship I have with you, the academic piece came together. I was equipped, I had all the tools I need to succeed in college without any major like stress or worry. And so it's very doable. It's an incredible experience. Yes, it's challenging in different seasons and different meltdowns and times and all of the pieces, but it is so worth it.
I want to share one story. I didn't tell her I'm going to share the story, but I want to share. So she was trying to get an academic scholarship to go to the university after she had done this 2 years high school dual credit thing, and she had to take the SAT. And we really, up to that point in homeschooling, I didn't press score
I hadn't taken a lot of tests in my life.
Time tests, and we did some of the basic ones, but nothing real intense. And I didn't have her do the SATs for 4 years up to it. So how many times did you take the SAT?
I took the PSAT once, and I took the SAT itself like 4 times.
Because she had to have a certain score. So it was learning how to take a test. And I look back and I'm like, should I have trained you to take tests? Or do you think it was just as effective to do it the way we did it? Because we didn't do a lot of test taking. Do you think we should have done more test taking at home? Or what is your opinion now?
I think, and for my career, I had to take a lot of tests. I've taken 2 board exams to get my RN license, my FNP license. So for the trajectory of life and career that I had chosen, I needed a lot of test taking. I think for my other siblings, they have not by any means needed that level of experience. And so I think it would have been a waste of time if you like pushed all of us to take tests and to do that piece. And for me, like I did take the SAT 4 times, and each time I was like buying a new curriculum to figure out how do I take these tests. We got a tutor at one point. I was like studying the big SAT books, and then I was doing like the online course, and in between each test, I'm like, Mom, we only like increased by like 150 points. Like I need to get up to this level to get the highest academic scholarship. So it was like just continuing to push. But then I finally made it and got the points that I needed for it.
There was a lot of tears in those moments.
Oh, there was a lot of tears.
But I look back from a mom's point of view is, to do the career you were going to do, you're going to have to take a lot of heavy tests. And you had already taken all these, and you had prepped for taking these 4-hour tests. And I think that helped you actually be successful to pass them the first time. The most important test the first time.
It's true.
So I think there's a lot of things you're going to do as a homeschooling mom, and you're going to make, not mistakes, but you're going to maybe do things a different way that maybe you could have done it better or whatever. But I do think it's such a good reminder to know God is still in control. God knows what she needed more than I knew. I knew what she needed. He knew that SAT was going to benefit her, as many tears and dropping her off, and the score is going up little by little, but having to hit this, she was going for an academic scholarship, which she did get. But, he knew what was going to benefit her. And I think trusting God in the process, that he cares about your kids more than you do. And you're not going to screw them up. You're not going to, because she's the oldest of all of them. And she is an overachiever because she is the oldest of 6 kids. By nature, she is. And she's hardworking and she's diligent, and she's put her mind to do stuff. And I think, people ask her why you're so intentional. And she would say, what would you say to that?
Oh, you haven't met my mother. I said, you have no idea.
I think when you stay intentional as a mom, your kids will write that out, and they'll succeed you in what you've done. They're going to go beyond. And that's what we want for our kids. We want our kids to go beyond what we did. We want them to be smarter, to be brighter, to be more impactful. We want them to dream bigger. And I think when you stay intentional and you pour them into your kids, they become intentional and they go the distance. And that's what you want for your kids. So hang in there, mama. If you're a homeschooling mama and you're still watching this video and you wanted to hear it from the mouth of a homeschooler, she has shared the benefits, and we didn't do everything perfect.
No.
There are things that, I didn't test them heavy enough. We had, years or months, I should say, I was pregnant, throwing up, and you would bring your
I loved those years. I mean, it was not the same for you, but I was like, we'd bring in our homework to mom and I'd be like, oh, can you help me with this math? He'd be like, no, honey, I'm too sick. I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to go play.
And so she lived through, and we have 6 kids, and she lived through, mom, for 3 months I was pregnant
For
and
each
sick
kid.
and throwing up, And so there were pockets of times that learning wasn't as intentional, wasn't as hit, and I didn't get to stay as diligent as I wanted. But I think the faithfulness over the years of continuing to show up and continuing to jump in when we needed to jump in and to stay diligent has paid off. And so overall, I want to encourage you. I want you to stay the course. If God's called you to homeschool, keep homeschooling, because she's living proof that, if you stay diligent, God covers the things that you can't, and he will guide and direct you, and your kids will far exceed you in what they're going to do in life. And she's the age I was that I had her, and she has surpassed everything I did before I had her. So she's so ahead of me in the game of life. And I think of at 29, they live in Mexico and serve in a missions organization. And they're like a month or 2 away from paying off their house. Just the smarts financially and academically and in a career sense and in a ministry sense and in a relationship sense. She has done above and beyond what I could have ever dreamed when we started the homeschooling world. I don't think I would have dreamed for you to be a family nurse practitioner and to own a house at this age and to do all that you've done. Yet we trust God, and he exceeds abundantly more than we could ask for. And that's the truth with homeschooling. So as I tear up and I get emotional, I just want to encourage you so you can hear it out of her mouth, the value of homeschooling. Hang in there. I have some great resources, some freebies for you. I wrote a book, Intentional Mom, Unshakable Faith, and it will just help you guide and direct your kids. And she helped me in the sense of she read it, proofread it over and over again. And so she was kind of this voice in my head as I pushed through to write this book. Check out Intentional Mom, Unshakable Faith. So until next time, stay intentional, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.